Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Sims 4 Speed Build video. And today I'm gonna be creating this like ascot inspired the races, horse racing little venue place for all your Sims that like to go off to the races and do all kinds of things like that. I made this in January. This is a video that has been sitting in my like drafts area as I've been just editing new content and just leaving it there. So it's been a very long time coming for this video to come out, but finally it's coming out because again, I'm being pressurized. But is that a word, pressurized? Pressured. I think it's pressured. I'm being pressured by the concept of a new pack coming out soon, and I just have too many builds in my saves that I am thinking that my inability to make a new build is probably because I have so many builds already in my drafts. So you're probably wondering, what on earth does that mean? What do you mean you've got like you're struggling to build? So what I mean by that is that I've been struggling to make a New York townhouse for the longest time now. I've been thinking about it and I've really wanted to do it ever since my previous one, which was like almost 2 years ago. And that one was made before I realized that people actually want to download these builds. So I would always make them in the idea that people just like watching people build. I didn't think people actually wanted to download my creations, so I would never like upload them and I would have no clue what was in any of the CC I used or anything like that. And that was also the really difficult time when I used to just take pictures on my phone of the CC I used before I found out that I can actually just use Sims tray files and then find out every single CC I use, which has been so helpful when it comes to CC builds. But anyways, I've been trying to make a New York townhouse for the longest time ever. I have Sims that need to move out of the house and they need to go into the new one. I was like, that it's a perfect time. I don't have a New York townhouse anymore. It'll be a great time to do it. The only issue is that I don't know why I keep making it and it just doesn't look right. And I'm just like, this is a sign, girly, that you need to get all of your stuff out of your drafts and you need to upload them because I'm not allowing you. It's like my body's telling me I'm not allowing you to make anything different because I know that you need to be uploading things. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. Hopefully, I can get every single thing done before we get the new expansion packs. But yeah, this is me building the races. And you can tell I built this in January because it's a bit funny looking. But I still very much like it. That's why I'm uploading it because I just feel like it fits the theme of just that kind of whole very like obviously this is going to be part of my celebrity save file. So this, and when I call it my celebrity save file for anyone who's particularly new here, I don't make actual celebrities in The Sims because I hate cast. I don't hate it, but unless I'm creating the children or the descendants of my Sims, I'm not particularly fond of using the Sims for cast. Not because there's particularly any issue with it. I'm being trying to be so neutral here. I don't think there's an issue with cast. I think it's the best cast we have. But I am a builder first and foremost, and I like building off of continuity. It's almost as if you want to look at it, it's almost as if I like doing fan fictions of my work. I live vicariously, and I have a whole concept when it comes to the idea of fan fiction, but it's basically a fan fiction of fan fiction of fan fiction, and that's how I live vicariously through each and every single creative medium that I do. So, what on earth do you mean by that? I mean that I do have to create my OG Sims. I do need to create the overall storyline, so I will create my OG families. But it's when it comes to the kids and it's when it comes to the grandkids that I truly have the most amount of fun playing The Sims because then it's like I'm manipulating a pre-existing world, but it's a world that I've necessarily created, so it feels like I'm making a fan fiction of a fan fiction. And in each and every single save, I manipulate other pre-existing sims into that fan fiction the way that I wanted it to be. So in one game, for example, my British save file, I'll have Alexander Goth as the what do you call them? I should know that, but I would have Alexandra Goth as the what on earth do you call them? I'm losing myself. I'm losing myself. What would you call them? Oh, it's not in my head. The crown. And that's not the queen consort. Is it the queen consort? The king consort. It is the person that it just say I'll call him Prince Alexander. He is Alexander. He is not necessarily the prince because he's not part of the royal family, which is the Ivies, but he is the addition to the royal family. But then in my other Sims files, I will have, like, for example, in my baby Sim file, which is my own personal Sim file, which is just basically really like it's like if you know anything about fanfiction, this is gonna end up becoming like a whole entire thing about fanfiction. I know it's bringing up a lot of nostalgia and stuff, but one thing that I distinctively remember about fanfiction is alternative universes, and it's basically like each one of the says is like the royal AU, and then this is the what would you call this? 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 This is dredging up a lot of nostalgia for me actually. Um, and then you would call that my Australian AU, or if you want to look on like social media terms, I know we don't use core anymore, but it'll be like my Australian core and stuff like that. Bear in mind, I've never touched foot in Australia. I don't have a clue what it's like, but I find it as a very neutral place to create. So obviously, I have my British save file, which is the royal one because I live in Britain. But I also have the Australian one, but because that is where I find a neutral ground where I can have my big houses, my long areas, and have to just basically create a makeshift world the way that I want to. And then I've also got my developing at the moment, my Zimbabwean safer, which is mostly sub-Saharan Africa, specifically the southern area. So it's like Zimbabwe, Botswana, Mozambique, South Africa. But yeah, that's normally what I have going on within my save files. So they're just basically, as I said, like a fan fiction of each other. They're just kind of like what I, and I do this also in my creative writing because that's why I've been kind of all over the place lately with my uploads. I've been getting really into running and I've been getting really into writing again and all of that stuff because as well as on top of the job applications, I don't want to lose myself creatively when it comes to writing. So I've been really into script writing to the point that I'm even planning an episode 2 to my series of my script, which I don't normally do. And I'm also very much still involved and in love with my film script. So it's just like I'm doing a lot of stuff, and it's like a feature film script, so it's quite heavy. But I'm doing a lot of stuff like that. So I'm kind of getting a bit, and then I'm building a lot and just not finishing anything. Now I'm realizing, and I'm not finishing anything. It's kind of scary when you say it out loud. Like I'm just creating and creating, but I'm not uploading anything. I'm not finishing everything. Like I have my feature halfway done, but I don't know. There's that weird feeling of that if I finish it, it's like I'm almost committing to something. It's the same as with my short film scripts. A lot of them I'm able to do in 3 days. Like quite, it just kind of flows out of me as gross as it sounds. But for whatever reason, I can't finish them. Well, I think I might be going through a crisis at the moment because I'm thinking about it as well in terms of my Sims 4 builds. I'm just creating and creating loads of builds, but I'm just not uploading them because then it feels like I'm actually committing to something. Why is my brain like this? I hope it stops doing that. But anyway, um, as I was discussing before when I was talking about this in fan fiction and everything, it's the same way within my writing style. Now, obviously, my writing style can't directly be a fan fiction of everything because then all intellectual property is lost, but it's more of everything you do in a writing sense will always be the fan fiction of something. And I think like there's not, and I'm not talking so quite directly, like everyone knows that Shadowhunters City of Bones is a fan fiction of Harry Potter. That is quite direct in its fan fiction, but then there's also other things like, for example, I know I forgot one film, but there was one film that Tarantino spoke about saying that he watched a particular scene of another film and utilized that particular scene to really make the bulk of his entire script and his entire film. So if you want to really look at it and put a term to it, that is fan fiction, taking a particular scene, taking a particular character in pre-existing mediums and making it into something, even if it is so wildly out of it, the same way that Shadow of Bones, if you did not know that was a Harry Potter fan fiction, you would not be able to place the two together just because it's been taken so widely out. But that is a fan fiction, the same extent that that one Tarantino film is a fan fiction of that particular scene. And we do it consistently throughout a lot of things. We often take a lot of Shakespearean stories, like a lot of people do like to say that Lion King is a fan fiction of, is it Hamlet? I'm not too sure. And it, well, they don't say it's a fan fiction of because it's like a taboo word in most senses, but it is seen as something that has been inspired. I think that's the word a lot of people like to say. Like we can say inspired, but sometimes the more appropriate word is to just say it's a fan fiction, and we just don't want to say the word. And I get it sometimes because it makes it feel like it's not original, but the thing is, there is no original ideas. That's one of the biggest problems. We are all inspired out of something. If we can't consciously pick it up, we probably subconsciously picked it up somewhere. It's the same as, what is it? What is it? I'm thinking. There was these books that I was reading lately, and I was like, they're very, oh yes, it was Foundation and Dune. How did I forget these books I was reading lately? Literally like the forefathers of sci-fi. But as a lot of you know, that sci-fi is one of my favorite mediums ever in this world. I absolutely love it, and I have a lot of really cool story ideas and script ideas based off of certain things from my favorite show ever, Doctor Who, that I feel like could be widely explored even more, but not in the Doctor Who universe. And that is in some contexts, some people would like to say a fan fiction because that is not my core idea, but some people would like to say it's inspiration. It really depends on the type of person you're speaking to. I think it's fine either way around because there's still a lot of creativity in it. I mean, look at everything that we do in terms of music. Some people will see sampling as cheating or copying or anything like that. But we've all had the same experience with a particular sample where it's sampled from, yet we all have not made the product that has come from that particular person using that some sample for, oh, I'm struggling to think of songs that I've sampled the content. This is really difficult, but I'm gonna say, okay, this is gonna sound really wrong, but since again I like to write a lot, I do listen to quite a lot of cinematic music, and this is orchestral, not electronic orchestral music, but if anyone knows who Apache is, Apache has done a lot of orchestral and electronic music mixed in together. They're very good if you want to get into the vibe of a very sci-fi or heavy grungy or a very good action scene when you're writing. And a lot of the music that Apache has had samples. For example, I remember specifically there's this one that I was obsessed with when I was younger called Lyric Mosa. I think I am butchering the name. I'm so sorry. But that is a sample, that is not even a sample, that is a particular song that we have all been introduced to for a very long time, but not all of us would think of changing it and making it into what the song currently is in Apache's um the Apache's set, not set list, not able to make it into the way that Apache has. And that's how I see a lot of things in terms of fan fictions, in terms of inspirations. It's just a bunch of people taking a lot of really cool ideas and really molding it into something that not everyone could have particularly done with it. And it's the same as a lot of people do say that with Shakespeare, William Shakespeare. I'm really bringing it back. I'm going off on a tangent here. But they do say a lot of the times with William Shakespeare, he was also very well inspired a lot of Greek stories. Like I think there's that saying that there's only 36 story types within the Greek setting, and once you realize them, you can't really get over them. And I feel like especially when you get into such a creative mind and a creative output, you kind of see it everywhere. So everything is just kind of flying off of each other, but I think it's a really fun thing. I think when we try and be too original, it's more of that we are flying off too much of the wagon that we can't really see where we are going with it. For like, I think of a lot of things in life, as I think of a lot of things and as original, which is great, but it's like I don't know where I'm going with this. I think what I'm trying to say, and I'm gonna round it off because I feel like I'm getting delirious. It's very hard to my brain right now. Is that I think a lot of the times we try and go too far with the originality, but initially we are inspired of something, whether it's from real life or whether it's from other mediums, but we do follow a certain type of rhythm in order to create and orchestrate things. And that's why when you watch romance films, everything just ends up feeling a little bit the same because it all is the same to a degree. And yeah, I ended up talking about fan fiction versus inspiration as almost like a very messy and very unorganized video essay when I should have been talking about why I decided to do an Ascot inspired build, but I did it because I just thought I wanted a place where all my celebrity sims could just congregate and talk to each other and meet each other. And you can really tell I made this in January because this was before business and hobbies. So what you could do is that with business and hobbies, you can add the actual, because right now it's set as a restaurant, but you could add the machine that allows you to have horse racing, to have horse riding, to have eating as part of the activities that you would do with this. But I think this is a fun little thing for your Sims to do on a late night and just kind of meet each other, meet new people, and have a lot of fun just watching horse riding. But yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, but if you don't want to, that's also okay. Appreciate you staying this long and listening to all of my rambling. Also, don't forget to leave a comment down below. I read all of your comments, the more the merrier. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye!